This entrenches Vodafone's market leadership of the cable industry in Germany. Is it going to pass muster with regulators?
It's going to be a challenge because the regulators have previously been sceptical. But I would say since the last time this was tried a few years ago, the regulatory model has evolved. And of course, the distribution of things like television and broadband have evolved as well. There are more technologies doing those. So it is not... It's going to be a challenge, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, I mean, the chief executive of Deutsche Telekom, to which they're now the second biggest player in fixed-line telecom, says it's an unacceptable deal and he's going to fight it. You've
got to remember that most of Vodafone's competitors will use this as an opportunity to pitch their own arguments to see what they can get out of this deal as a consequence, as a remedy from the regulators. So they're all in pitching mode as well. In general, I think Deutsche Telekom would probably recognise that there is room for consolidation, but the challenges in Germany with the way housing associations are built and the monopolistic providing that cable has of those, it's a little bit more of a structural challenge than you get in other markets.
So what do you think of the price that Vodafone's paying here?
The price was a full price, but not a huge surprise. I mean, we've been talking about a number of around 18 to 19 billion euros, and it came in that range.
Well, I mean, what this doesn't provide Vodafone with, of course, is a UK cable TV business. I mean, there's been a lot of speculation that Virgin Media, it was in talks about that, which is also, of course, owned by Liberty Global. Why don't you think that's been included?
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons. I think, firstly, Vodafone is more of a consumer operator in its continental European properties, so therefore cable fits. It's not saying it doesn't fit in the UK, but it's not as much of a priority. A lot of Vodafone in the UK is actually a business mobile operator. The other side of it is just sheer scale. You know, a Virgin in the UK is far bigger, and doing both at the same time would be a hard thing to stomach financially and would increase the risk profile. It's not saying it won't be there in the longer term, but it's probably not going to be something that they can afford in the immediacy.
So what does Liberty Global do now? I mean, it gets nearly 11 billion euros worth of cash out of this. What's it going to do with the money?
Well, it has options, doesn't it? I mean, if it wants to pursue a standalone strategy in the UK, then it might look at mobile assets. If you think about other parts of the Liberty Global Group in Europe, for example, in the Netherlands and in Belgium, they have acquired mobile assets themselves. So they could be a go-alone strategy, or they might just wait and return the money to shareholders in the short term to see if there's further consolidation of the UK further down the line.
Or they could even, I guess, bulk up Virgin Media by buying another mobile operator like O2. Yeah,
I mean, that is a possibility. O2, we've known historically, has been looked to be for a trade sale. Telefonica, its owner, has talked about an IPO of that asset. So there is potentially a willing seller there if the price is right.
And what about ITV? I mean, Liberty Global owns nearly 10% of that. The old investment bankers have had the bellows out trying to reignite that story today, haven't they?
Yeah, I think so. However, I think the telecoms infrastructure is probably slightly more important as you look forward in the longer term into the developments of 5G. What does that mean for cable? The combination of fixed and mobile assets together. I think that's probably more of a priority rather than necessarily adding an advertising-based content provider.
Yeah, I mean, Virgin Media, I think they said in May last year they weren't interested in ITV at its current share price. The share price has fallen by a quarter since then.
You could argue that that was a good call on their case, wasn't it? But yeah, I mean, in theory, it is cheaper to buy now. But the other side of it is you've got to think, what does it actually bring? Virgin has a lot of subscription-based model, and ITV isn't a subscription-based model. It's a free-to-air advertising-based model. So it is a different type of business model. Not saying never, but it is a different type.
And very briefly, Guy, do you see other convergence deals happening in the TMT sector this year?
Well, they're happening around, to be honest with you. I mean, this is probably a big one, but they've been going on in places like the Netherlands, places like Austria already. So this is a pan-European theme. This is just another big one to add to that list.